Tony's in the house tonight. He's in the house, bringing that beat, making it sweet, so sweet. People on their feet, their feet. Big Tony's in the house tonight. Big Tony's in the house tonight. Singing the house tonight.
What is going on, everyone? I hope you can hear me. I don't have my whole setup set up. It's all packed and everything's moving and whatnot. Moving to a different location. I'll have a brand new studio. I just wanted to update you all. I've been getting some questions from folks. I've been popping in occasionally when I'm taking a break from everything. You can see and hear me awesome. So I was kind of worried about that, Marilyn. Awesome. But I just want to get on here. I've been getting some questions from folks. Have I abandoned Rumble? No, I have not abandoned Rumble. Why am I over on YouTube? Well, I know a lot of creators over on YouTube, and when I see them on, because I'm usually over there, looking at seeing what the current news is going on and whatnot, etc. And when I see them on, I jump in their chats sometimes and I chat. So that's why you see me over on YouTube. I don't stick to just one platform. I'm on all platforms. As a matter of fact, right now, if you want to see the movie that's been banned over in Europe, uh, uh, um, um, Citizen Vigilante, it is posted on my X profile. Just search Big Tony Speaks on X and then hit that follow button. And on my profile, it's up there. You can watch it for free. Elon Musk posted it up for free over the weekend, and many of us reposted, etc. So, but you gotta go see it before it gets taken down. It will eventually get taken down because that was only kind of a temporary deal between Elon Musk and the creator of the movie. So eventually, it'll get. It's called Twix. Yeah, Marilyn likes to call it Twix because it used to be Twitter and now it's X. Twix. Okay. But the move is taking a little longer than expected. Um, Sometimes that happens. I'll be back to doing my regular show and my Sunday morning sermon and everything as quickly as I can. But it's taking a little bit longer than expected. But as I said, I am on a lot of different platforms, and I do. I'm not. I had to set up my computer and everything, camera, all that, just to do this. I didn't set up my whole setup because that's all packed. I was able to get to my camera and my computer really easily. I do have a phone. I can go online and watch videos and hit likes and comment and whatnot, you know, from my phone. So, you will see me occasionally on various different platforms, YouTube and Instagram and uh, TikTok and X, Twitter, Twix, whatever you want to call it. Tweety Bird, whatever. I don't care. But you will see me online. I have not gone anywhere. I'm not dead. I haven't abandoned Rumble. I haven't quit doing shows. None of that. I thought I made all this clear, but apparently not. I do understand that I've been gone for a while. It has it's taking a little bit longer than I was expecting. I was hoping it would go a little bit quicker, but it's something we have to deal with. It's life, you know. And I know right now you all are probably watching other creators. I know James just got off. I don't know if he's doing another stream or not. Uh, I was just over there uh, on his stream. I wasn't on the show, but I was in his chat um, just shortly ago, and made some comments over there. In fact, I announced that I had that Citizen Vigilante movie posted where people could watch it for free until it gets taken down. Um, it was one of the many Grok accounts that posted it, so hopefully it'll stay up a little longer than most. I just reposted it from the Grok account, which is where I watched it, by the way. That is an awesome movie. It's straight based, too. It is straight up based. My only criticism, really, well, actually, I have a few criticisms of the movie, but it's a really good movie. But as with any movie, there's criticisms. It's a little hard to follow. I know you've seen those movies before where they flash back and forth between present day and what happened in the past, and et cetera, et cetera. Well, this one does that. Also, in the movie, there is one scene. It's a sex scene that sex scenes are okay, fine, whatever. I mean, it's something that we can't escape in movies and whatnot. But try to make, if you're going to put a gratuitous sex scene in there, at least try to make it not look like a gratuitous sex scene, because this sex scene is just kind of random in there. It was almost like they had a whole secondary storyline going on, but they cut the whole secondary storyline out and left the sex scene. That's what it kind of seemed like. Because all of a sudden he's walking through this brothel, and he picks out a girl and goes in, and well, they're doing it, and he looks up and sees mold up on the wall, and kind of gets upset, and then you find out he owns the building, But other than that, it doesn't move the storyline along, the plot. It doesn't move it along. It doesn't do anything for the movie. It doesn't. If you cut it out, nobody would know the difference. You know. And I mean, I don't see the reason that scene was left in, other than maybe to get get the ratings. Maybe they needed the sex scene to hit a certain rating level or whatever. But I think the violence in it, and there was a good deal of violence in it. It's kind of a Charles Bronson Death Wish type of movie, kind of, not exactly, but in the similar vein of it. Um, and there was a lot of violence and everything, but the violence was for a reason in the movie. I'm not trying not to do any spoilers or anything, because I want people to go and watch it, whether you go and pay for it, get it on one of the many streaming platforms that it is available on, or you order the DVD, or however you watch it. Even if you go and watch it on my X page, and while you're there, hit that follow button. You know, um, however you watch it, just go watch it. It has a really good message. The message is what I think is like really awesome about the movie, more so than the movie itself. But the movie's good too. Um, So I mean, but it's those are really my only real criticisms about the movie. I mean, is it's a little bit hard to follow with all the jumping around, but once you kind of get used to what's going on with the jumping around, it takes a few minutes, but you'll kind of get it. And once you get the rhythm of the jumping around and get the kind of what's going on, it's a good movie. It has a good message, and I'll tell you, the message is, if you don't like what's going on in your city, county, state, country, whatever the case may be, do something about it. That's what the message is, and it's kind of more geared towards Europe with all the roving rape gangs and with all the violence with the foreigners over there stabbing people and attacking people and raping people and whatnot. But that stuff's going on here too. It's happening here. It's not. United States is a much bigger country than any of those. In fact, you could probably put most of the countries that stuff's going on inside of the United States and still have plenty of space left. Many of those countries are dwarfed by just singular states in this country. So it's going to seem like it's less here in America, but it's really not. You know, once you put it into perspective, it's really not. It's going on. It's pretty prevalent here in America. So and then there's the issue with the whole Communist Party thing going on here in the United States. If you don't like it doesn't matter what the case may be. If it's rape, if it's murder, if it's assaults, or whatever, or if it's politics, whatever the case may be, if you don't like it, do something about it. That's what the movie's about. Go watch it. It's a good movie. I'll be back on as soon as the moment that I possibly can get back on to actually do shows and whatnot, and my Sunday morning show, etc. The moment that I can, I'm itching to get back on. I like to do my show and make people laugh and make fun of the news. And I also, on Sundays, I like sharing the Word of God with my viewers. So, I want to get back to it. I have not abandoned you all. I have not abandoned Rumble. I have not gone anywhere. I'm still here. That's one of the reasons that I do get into people's chats on their shows, just to because I share viewers with a lot of the people that I get into their chats. I'm making myself seen so that people know I haven't gone anywhere. I haven't died. Nothing like that. You know, the biggest thing going on right now is we're moving. You know, yeah, I'm having some health issues, but that's neither here nor there. The biggest thing going on right now is we're moving to a better place, not far from where we're at, but it's still a better place. And I'll actually have a nice studio to do my show in. So always try to uh, improve your situation if you can. And I've always preached that. From the time back when me and Marilyn, when we were homeless, living in the woods. Always try to improve your situation. What's going on, Slim Chick? See you over there in YouTube. But yeah, I'm just simply we're moving to a better situation. It's closer to Marilyn's work. I didn't think that was possible, but apparently it is. Um, so we're moving to a better situation, nicer place. I'll actually have a studio, and I'll be able to better present my show uh, to you all. I just wanted to come on here and address those things because I was just in James's chat um, on his channel, and somebody literally asked me, had I given up on Rumble? What all this? Whoa, wait a minute, where'd that come from? No, I haven't given up on Rumble. And then the next question was, what are you doing on YouTube? Well, YouTube is one of the platforms that I stream to. I have a presence, not albeit not a big presence on YouTube, but I have a presence on YouTube. I stream to YouTube. I stream to Twitch, Kick, a bunch of other platforms. I was actually offered to come over to another platform and be a creator on their platform. And it was kind of out of the blue. It was really weird. And so I went and checked out the platform. I won't name the platform, but I checked it out. And at first, it looked pretty cool. It looked, like kind of a oh, what would it be most similar to? It would probably be mm, I don't know, kind of an Instagram type situation, maybe. Um, but I don't know. I don't know what it would be closest to. But yeah, it was kind of an Instagram like situation, um, based around videos and etc. Um, but when I started digging into who ran it and what their terms of service were, and just kind of digging into the nitty gritty of the platform, I discovered that it was more of a blue sky situation. It was a leftist platform. Why they would be trying to lure a conservative creator over there, I don't know, but maybe they didn't intend it to be leftist. Well, if they want more conservative people over there, they need to change their terms of service. Let me tell you, because as soon as I saw their terms of service, yeah, I was like, nope, not a good match. Sorry, I can't come over there and be a creator on your platform. So yeah, and again, I won't name the platform. Is I don't know. According to Google, it's been around for a long time. I've never heard of it, and if I were to name it, I'm sure none of you all would have heard of it either. But it's only just recently, because they uh, reached out to me, come onto my radar. And I found out that some people that I know actually have accounts over there, but they're normies. They don't get into the whole uh, political thing. They don't really understand what's going on in the world. They're you know kind of rerees. You know what I mean? No offense. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, some people just float along in the world and uh, never really understand or realize what's going on around them. Um, but I've discovered that some people I know that are have accounts over there and whatnot. But I'm sorry. No, I I don't like being censored, and there's a lot of censoring going on over there on that platform, even more than goes on YouTube. You thought YouTube was bad with the censorship and all that, and having to talk in code and whatnot. Oh no, no, this platform way worse. I talked to a couple of creators over there, and ew, way worse. You know? So yeah, not gonna do that. It's bad enough I'm on TikTok. Come on, y'all. Which I really need to be posting more to TikTok to kind of build my presence online and whatnot. I really do. I need to get more on the ball. You know, but yeah, right now I'm kind of occupied and you know with the whole moving and everything, and I put it like this. Once we get moved and everything, I'll have my show up and going again before we have everything set up where we're going. It's gonna that it's gonna take us that long. I'll have my show back up and running and still be in the process of getting everything set up and all that. So yeah, so that's kind of the symbology of having a deserted town behind me. Plus, I like cartoons. So, but yeah, I mean, is there anybody out there who's got any questions or anything on whatever platform? I mean, I can see you all. I mean, anybody got any questions, whatever, hopefully, hopefully it's not going to be too much longer before I can be actually back on the air and everything. And I know Marilyn will be glad to get me back on the air. You know, it gives her during her break times between chores and duties and whatnot at her work. It gives her something to do. You know, she doesn't like it when I'm not doing a show or whatever. So I know she didn't expect me to go on today. I didn't expect to go on today doing this right here because the only reason I'm doing it is I've been getting a lot of questions, and I actually literally just a little bit ago on James's show in his chat, I got questioned, if I had left Rumble and why I was on YouTube and etc. So you know, no, I have not left Rumble. I repeat, I have not left Rumble. With all its faults and everything, I like Rumble. Plus it gives me the Rumble Studio that I don't have to pay extra money to be able to stream to other platforms. Yeah, they don't really understand. They don't understand what socialism is. I mean, and they think they do. They understand what they've been indoctrinated to understand. They don't realize that our schools, and that's middle school, high school, college, and sometimes even elementary. Our schools are indoctrination centers. They're not. I'm talking about public schools. are they're indoctrination centers. They're not schools. They're not teaching reading, writing, arithmetic. I've known people who have graduated, went on to college, got a college degree, and still can't read. So I mean, they're not teaching the fundamentals. They're indoctrinating your kids. Your children, your grandchildren, whatever the case may be. You know, and these kids that are of voting age, I call them kids because I've surpassed their age by double and triple in some cases. So these kids, they don't understand what it is they're supporting. They think they know, but all they know is what they've been indoctrinated to know, and that's those are the ones that that need to be shown the light, so to speak. And you're not gonna get that by by berating them. You're not gonna get that by attacking them. You know, you're not gonna get that by beating them over the head with facts and whatnot. You know, you're gonna get that by reaching out to them. By talking to them. Like a friend. Tell them the truth. Show them the truth. You know, a lot of the younger people are starting to open their eyes and see, everything for what it actually really is. It is actually happening, but it's a really really slow process. You know, uh, you know, they definitely need the Lord, Slim Chick. Yes, they definitely need the Lord. um, that's the biggest thing. You gotta show them and teach them and guide them, you know, in the right direction. You know, many I see it all the time. Many of them are starting to slowly open their eyes and uh, see things for what they really are. You know, especially here recently with the big upset in the Democrat Party. I know this is not a political show, but I'm just here talking. You know, the big upset in the Democrat Party here recently, here lately. Um, oh, it's contrived, at best. The Democrats are acting the so-called moderate Democrats, the centrist Democrats, whatever, are starting to pretend like, oh, they didn't know that the Communist Party had infiltrated their party and was taking over, and the Islamists were riding right along with them, right into our government, into our legislature. Oh, they didn't know. Now they realize their eyes have been opened, and they're going to fight against it. You see, that's a disruption in the status quo, and that's the thing that's going to get some of these young people's attention. They go, "Whoa, wait, what's going on here? What's this? You know, you know, communist bad. Democrat socialist equals communist bad. You know, I mean, because so now they have to remember as a Democrat, they have to remember Orange Man bad, Orange Man administration bad. Now they got to add, oh, deportations bad, immigration enforcement bad. Now they've got to add into that mix communism bad, Democrat socialist bad. Because Democrat socialists are communists. That's what Democrat socialist means. So, it's just a more palatable term. You know, most Americans hear communism and they're like, oh no, and it's, but they hear, oh, Democrat socialists, oh, those are just extreme Democrats. No, those are communists. So now these young kids that call themselves Democrats, now they've got to add, communism bad, Democrat socialist bad, to the mix there, and it's kind of a disturbance in the force, so to speak. It gets their attention. Wait a minute. Was I supporting communism? Or was I supporting something bad? You know, you know, and there will be some that that leave the Democrat Party, and there'll be others that try to identify with the moderate Democrats, the ones that are closer to Republicans than anything else. Because see, I'm here to tell you, the so-called moderate Democrats, they've lost their party. They lost it a long time ago. And I seriously doubt they're going to be able to get it back. Now, their ideologies and values and etc. are way closer to Republican values and etc. than they are to the communists. They might as well go ahead and jump ship and become Republicans. Hey, there's also a little bit, not a huge one, but there is a rift in the Republican Party between the establishment Republicans, the Bushes and whatnot, the establishment Republicans and MAGA. And then there's a little bit of a rift between MAGA and those who call themselves America First. I don't think it's a that either of those rifts in the Republican Party are party destroying rifts. I think those rifts can heal and work their own selves out. The situation with the Democrat Party, I'm not so sure. The Democrat Party, I fear, is dead. It's just really Republicans versus communists, patriots versus communists, Americans versus communists, however you want to put it. I agree, Slim Chick. I've said for quite a long time, and you should remember me saying this, like everybody else should remember me saying this quite a number of times on my show, as well as James's show, Carl's show, other shows. Whatever our differences amongst the different factions in the Republican Party, on the conservative side, whatever our differences, we need to put aside those differences, not argue about those differences. Those differences aren't important. Our core values are the same. Okay. When you get down to it, our core values are the same. We unite based on those core values. That's that's where the Republican Party needs to be. That's where the conservative side needs to be. It needs to be united um, as one front against the communists, and hold that line, for 2026, 2028, and beyond. Um, we we need to hold control for as long as possible, because if we want our country back, it's not something that's going to be done in 4 years. It's not something that's going to be done in 8 years. It's not going to be something that's done in 16 years. This is something that's going to take 30, 40 years or more to do, to actually get our country back. Especially now with the Islamist invasion going on. This is one of the few times on Big Tony Speaks the Chill that I'll be talking about politics. Um, with the invasion uh, of Islam in America, where this is going to be a situation that's going to take us a long time to get our country back. It, it's going to take quite a few Republican administrations back to back to back, all working towards the same goal, continuing the work from one to the next in order for us to actually get our country back, you know, in any meaningful way. We have been complacent and I'll say it lazy for so long. So we've been living through soft, easy times, and we've gotten complacent and lazy, and that's allowed communism, that's allowed Islamism, that's allowed all these things to take a hold in our country. So it's our own darn fault, that it is the way it is. We allowed it to happen. But that doesn't mean that we can't fight and get it back. So I mean, it's all up to the people. It's up to us, up to everybody, you, me, everybody, to fight and get it back. Now, are we going to squabble over differences between different factions of our party or our movement, the conservative movement, or are we going to metaphorically point all our guns in the same direction and put all our efforts in this fight towards the same goal? Which is it? We can't be we can't be fighting the enemy when we've got our guns pointed at each other, so to speak, metaphorically. It just doesn't work that way. You can't shoot the enemy while you're shooting at each other. At least that's the way I see it. Right. Exactly. We've got to put our efforts towards the same goal. Put all our point all our guns, so to speak, at the same target. You know, or the same group of targets. We'll say that. See, we're looking to win the game. The World Cup is going on. We're looking to win the game. We're going to win the whole tournament. So it's always that goal ahead of you, not the goal you're protecting. The goal ahead of you. I mean, if if you're trying to steal the ball from your own guy, you're never going to make that goal. Doesn't matter if you like or dislike that guy who happens to be on your side. If you're trying to steal the ball from him, you're never going to make that goal. And if he's trying to steal the ball from you, you're never going to make that goal. I can jump from metaphor to metaphor. You know, it's not that hard. So we have to, whatever our differences, all the different groups on the conservative side, we've got to stand united. You know, point our guns at the same targets. You know, I'm not, and no, I'm not calling for civil war against the Democrats or the communists or anybody else. I'm not calling for any violence or anything like that. That's a metaphor. You know, that's why I keep saying that word. Is because that's what it is. It's a metaphor. I'm not calling for any of that. Exactly. We want to keep the USA a free nation. You know, I'm sorry, but Islam, communism, those are not systems that keep the United States free. And the young kids, see, they don't understand. They think they do. They don't understand that even as bad as they think they have it here in the United States, literally everywhere else is worse. There is not another country in the entire world that they can go to and have the freedoms that they have here in the United States. In many countries, you go out hollering death to America like a lot of them do, you're going to be shot in the street. You're going to die. You know, I mean, if if you were to go to many countries around the world and do what they do here in the United States, these protests and all that, wouldn't be jail. It wouldn't be pushed back and hit with tear gas and no, no, no. They're going to stand out in the street with automatic weapons and mow your butts down. Yeah. That's why I've said many times that I really think that law enforcement, when they have these protests, which are not protests, they're open rebellion against the United States. You know, I really think that law enforcement, when facing one of these protests, should go back to the old school tactics with the water cannons and pulling out the billy clubs and cracking some skulls. When they went out for these so-called protests, they knew there was danger. They knew they could get hurt. They chose to do it anyway. Therefore, if cops pull out their billy clubs and start cracking some skulls, these people will start thinking twice about coming out for these so-called protests. And they'll start thinking more along the lines of go to the local college and have a sit-in, saying kumbaya, rather than going out and attacking federal agents and police officers and citizens on the streets and etc. When they get hit in the gut by a water cannon, let me tell you, that hurts. And it can break bones if it hits you just right. They get hit in the gut by a water cannon, yeah, they're gonna think twice. And we need to get to a position, conservatives, we need to get into a position legally where we can put a stop to all the animalistic behavior going on in the United States. I'm not calling anybody out. You all know exactly what I'm talking about. These people going around acting like animals. They need to be treated like animals. There are some that need to be put down. In the wild, we've all seen it. In the wild, there are certain animals that you just can't control. You have to put them down. Take them out. We need to get ourselves into a position legally through the legislature and the courts to where we can put a stop to the animalistic behavior going on in the United States of America. We're supposed to be living in a civilization, be civilized. We don't live in the jungle nowhere. We're not, Neanderthals or lower. So we shouldn't be out there in the streets acting like animals. When I say we, I mean Americans, people who live in America, born in America. Everyone else, if you're not a citizen of this country, and if you have no intentions on obeying the laws of this country, supporting this country, you need to go somewhere else. If you're not here legally, pack up your bags and go. If you don't like this country, whether you were born here or not, if you don't like this country, you don't like the way it's ran, you don't like the Constitution, you don't like the rules that we have, bye. You'll find you some place that you do like. You're screaming about communism. There are communist countries that you can go to, maybe, if they'll let you in. You want to convert to Islam, but you're an American. Well, it only costs $450 to relinquish your citizenship to the United States, and you can go somewhere where you can be a Muslim, unless you're gay or trans or any of those alphabet people. They have laws against it. Oh, and have fun speaking out against the government. In either a communist country or a Muslim country. Have fun trying to do that. Oh yeah. The United States is the freest country in the world. We're the largest economy in the world. we, you know, we are literally the land of opportunity. I have personally spoken to foreigners who came here legit to become Americans, not to keep their old ways from their old countries. Came here legit to become Americans, you know, and didn't come here to scam America either. You know, maybe one day in the future we'll have a discussion like this, and I'll explain what I mean by scamming America. Because there's a formula when certain foreigners come here. They have a formula for success, and I just knocked something off my desk, and I have no idea what. Actually, I think I do have an idea what, but that's okay. But there's a formula that they use. They come here and they follow this formula, and within just a few years, they're extremely wealthy, and you know, and they're on the path to citizenship, and you know, sitting pretty. But the ones that I'm talking about that I've spoken to came here actually to become Americans, and they call themselves Americans. They're not anything else. They're no hyphenated, nothing. They're just Americans. And they came here for the so-called American dream, and they say, well, it's a lot of work, but it's worth it to achieve the American dream. And they all say, well, we haven't quite made it there yet, but we're well on our way. When I say foreigners, I'm not necessarily just talking about Muslims, or Mexicans, or the usual suspects. I'm talking about people from England, Ireland, Italy. You know, yes. We got people coming from all around the world, legit people coming from all around the world wanting to be Americans. Then we've got the Muslim invasion. We've got all these people wanting to come here to defraud the American people. We've got people coming here with intent to destroy this country. You know, and that's coming from a lot of different directions. And if our leaders, don't wake up soon and start doing something about it, you know, I fear that we'll lose this country. We'll lose the freedom that we have enjoyed for 250 years. And so, I don't know, it's up to you all. Go watch Citizen Vigilante. It's on my X profile. Just go to X and search Big Tony Speaks, and then when you get there to my profile, you know it by when you see my logo. And hit that follow button when you get there, and then just scroll down. You'll see the video there, and I believe it's set to autoplay. So once you get on the thing, it'll automatically start playing. You just hit the little arrows in the bottom right corner and expand it. Watch it full screen on your computer or on your phone, whichever. And realize, soak in the message being, if you don't like what you see going on in your country, your city, your state, your county, your neighborhood, do something about it. If you don't do something about it, have a good night, Slim Chick. If you don't do something about it, somebody else will, and you might not like it. You might not like it. And I'm going to leave you all with that. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. If you don't like what you see in the world, do something about it. This Big Tony. Big Tony Speaks. Signing off. I am out of here. Y'all have a great one. God bless you. God bless America. There might be another update or two before I come back. We'll just have to see. Hopefully the next time you see me, I'll be back at it doing my show and etc. Y'all have a great night. I am out of here.
Here comes Tony, walking in the room, mic in hand, something's about to boom. Tell me what you gotta say. Tell me, make it count today. Big Tony speaks, and everybody listens. Big Tony speaks, his voice just keeps on lifting. When Tony talks, you know you gotta hear him. Big Tony speaks. Sit right down, let me hear your voice. Share your thoughts, Tony gives you choice. Tell me. Here comes Tony, walking in the room, mic in hand, something's about to boom. Tell me what you gotta say. Tell me, make it count today. Big Tony speaks, and everybody listens. Big Tony speaks, his voice just keeps on lifting. When Tony talks, you know you gotta hear him. Big Tony speaks. Sit right down, let me hear your voice. Share your thoughts, Tony gives you choice. Tell me. Here comes Tony, walking in the room.